and away we go.
Say A, say M, say E, say R, say I, C, say A, M.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Ron Edwards American Experience Talk Show, where our unalienable rights are celebrated. And now, your radio refreshment, Ron Edwards.
Hello, and how are you? I'm Ron Edwards, and you're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience, being brought to you by Constitutional Grounds Coffee. It is the coffee you want in your cup, and simply go to theronedwards.com. Check out the Constitutional Grounds coffee display there and make your purchase. You'll enjoy it. It'll be, and you will consider it to be the best coffee ever, because it is. Well, let's get right to it. Got some good news. Let's start with the good stuff first. The real good news is we've got a special guest coming up after the break, and her name is Denise Edwards. She's head of comministry.org, a great prayer organization, along with the Zechariah 2.5 family. We'll be talking about that and some good possibilities amidst all the madness that's going on. Also, a little bit of other good news. 3 Democrats have joined with Republicans in voting against President Biden's nominee to head the U.S. Labor Department's wage and hour division. The vote came yesterday, and Republicans were joined by Democrat Senators Kristen Sinema, Joe Manchin, and Mark Kelly in voting against a procedural vote to advance David Wheel's nomination because he's an extreme leftist. Wonder where those 3 were when it came to Ms. Jackson. But anyway, for the Supreme Court. Anyway, we'll figure that out, I guess, someday. Well, my friends, not such good news. 1 million illegal border crossers have been apprehended already this year. The 1 millionth individual was detained yesterday, in fact. And already a single-day record has been broken. That's dealing with the illegal border crossers pouring into our country. And we haven't even gotten into the real intense season. Border crisis to intensify after the Trump rule is rescinded. Man, oh man, that hasn't even been rescinded yet. So basically, if this isn't evidence to you, my fellow Americans, that Joe Biden does not give a rip about you, whether you are a Democrat, Republican, or anything in between, straight, gay, tranny, or whatever. He does not care about you if you were born in the United States of America, because he is literally trying to fill this country up with millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. I think he would like to bring in 1 billion illegal border crossers. I really do. Those people don't care about us. They don't care about this country. In fact, he also wants to make things easier for thugs. He wants to replace detention centers with house arrests. Can you imagine somebody having a thug, a family member, and, he's given justice 10 years or something for maybe burglary or something like that, and Biden gets his way, and they're just simply sent home. That's not a real punishment for crime. But that's the way that the leftist pigs think. They want to make things more and more difficult for those of us who toe the line, who are law-abiding citizens, who believe in God, love our country, respect our Constitution, Bill of Rights, etc., etc. Speaking of the illegal border crossers, yep, the government, as they say down south, wants you to pay for attorneys for the illegal border crossers. We talked about this the other day, and yep, they want to make sure that us taxpayers not only feed them, educate their children, pay for their medical care, glasses, whatever they need. And now their attorneys, we have to pay for attorneys for these illegals so that they can fight our laws. Unfreaking believable. There should be massive demonstrations in the street because literally the existence of our republic is literally in the balance as I speak. And if this stuff is not brought to a halt, we're done as a republic by this time next year. Forget 2 or 3 years down the road. And the way they're flooding this country, at the same time they keep poking the bear, Putin, and focusing us on Ukraine, while at the same time China is buying up and putting its big dragon self throughout South and Central America, right in our own backyard. Boy, long gone are the days when we had real presidents like Ronald Reagan, when Grapefruit Face of Nicaragua fame tried to be the big bad wolf down there with the Sandinistas. Remember the Sandinistas? And they thought they were all that in a bag of chips. And Ronald Reagan said, well, make my day. And in fact, he went down there and made their day. And grabbed the president of Nicaragua and said, well, you're going to sit things out. You're going to take time out in an American jail. That's what American power is about. The only thing more powerful on this planet should be God. Seriously, the only other thing more powerful than the United States on this planet should be God Almighty. But we cannot have that power or utilize that power if we continue to slide morally. Because who wants an immoral, powerful government influencing the world? Oh, like it has done in Ukraine. Poking the bear, pushing globalism, pushing out a pro-American. Isn't that ironic, though? You have the American government working to cheat, to push out a pro-American president so they could shove globalism down our throats. That's some sick stuff. And by the way, again, I say there should be massive demonstrations in the street. And I'm talking about 200 million of us all at one time. This should have happened when the truckers were surrounding D.C. And it would have just been too overwhelming. Because one thing that this government will do is bow. If they think things are really out of control, they will back down. That, like they did with the BLM riots, the Antifa riots. Oh yeah, they let them go. But 200 million patriots all at one time? And there should be huge demonstrations continuing nonstop on behalf of our fellow Americans who are still locked up in the American gulags in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. These people are being tortured, beaten the crap out of, given horrible food, not allowed to even pray, not allowed to see regular daylight, not allowed to drink clean water. And the beat goes on. We'll have more, much more, some good stuff coming up on this, the Ron Edwards American Experience.
The kid has class, taste, finesse.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Come on, man. All men and women created by gold. You know the thing.
You're a lying dog-faced pony shoulder.
I got hairy legs.
Constitutional Grounds, the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste that everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884. Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-213-9264. Call right now before it's too late. 800-213-9264.
Voice your opinion on the Ron Edwards hotline at 985-218-0185. Again, 985-218-0185.
Listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. Man, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, we believe it's getting better, or it will be getting better. I'm Ron Edwards, and you are listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. And despite all the crap that's going on in our republic, the leftists and the rhinos are literally trying to destroy us from stem to stern. But that's okay. There's a lot of us who don't agree with that. And I believe even God Almighty doesn't agree with that right now. Well, let's talk about it with our special guest today, Denise Edwards, and she's the leader of COM Ministry and the Zechariah 2.5 family of prayer warriors. Hello and welcome to the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Good afternoon, Ron. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, it's an honor. Well, let's get right to it. You know as well as I do what's going on, and we could just list all the bad stuff. But despite all of that, America is legendary for having an optimistic outlook on life and in our nation.
Academy Sports and Outdoors 4-day fast break sale is on right now. Get up to $150 off pools. Take 50% off select bikes for the family. And get up to 50% off Puma, Asics, and Adidas footwear. Visit your store or academy.com. Ends April 3rd. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See academy.com/disclaimers for details.
And the possibilities. And despite all the negativity, there are still great possibilities in our republic. And why don't we take a look at that today, despite everything that's going on? Or do you even share my optimism? I shouldn't assume anything. How do you feel about that?
No, I guess we drink the same Kool-Aid. I absolutely share your optimism. I don't think it's over. I think they're doing everything they can to put the final nail in the coffin called the United States of America. But I am not quite ready to, do the last rites over this country.
Yeah. And, do you, one of the things that I have always said is a cause for optimism concerning our country. And I said this way back when Ali Obama was in office. And actually, I was proven right as far back as 2013 in talking to certain individuals who thought at that time it was over. It was over, and Ali Obama was going to kill the country. And I said, no, I don't think so. There are prayer warriors all over this country. Lights are turning on. People are waking up. They did. We got Trump for a season. Things got better. We became energy independent. We became very powerful again. We became respected And you want to be respected. It's more important to be respected than just liked by especially when it becomes between nations. All that good stuff happened. So here we are again under Ali Obama stage 3, basically. And I still think that we're going to see another turnaround because even more Americans this time around are awakening. What say you?
I absolutely agree, and I do agree. It's his third term. We know he's got the earpiece in there, and he's commanding from his basement. Was his fantasy that he would be able to run the country from his basement and whisper into the ears of the puppets that he has on his strings. But I do think, again, as always, the enemy always overplays his hand, and that I guess that's the upside of it. It's like the old story, the hound dog laying on the nail, and every day somebody walks by and the hound dog is still laying on the nail, and after so many weeks they stop and ask the owner, when is he ever going to get up off of that nail? And he said, yeah, when he gets tired of it. And I think finally Americans across the whole country are recognizing, that nail hurts and it's rusting and it's getting infected, and they better get up and cleanse out the wounds of socialism and fascism.
Well, speaking of that, the wounds of socialism and fascism, future elites, the young people of America, 60% of Yale law students hate free speech. They also hate the police. They hate the structure of America. I'm looking at a big picture of 400 Yale law students, and they've all got their hands in the air in a fist form, and they're saying basically down with America, and they are against defending freedom, or they're against defending liberty, but they want freedom to destroy this country, basically, and they're woke. And this is terrible stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that makes people feel very negative about the future. But and I'm also looking at another picture here where you've got supermarkets. They're allowed to begin rationing in nations like Spain. And if we don't watch out, it could be happening here in the not too distant future, because America is spared a lot of stuff. We always seem to be the last to get the full brunt of bad decisions. But I'm with you on this. I think that it'll be just in the nick of time that a lot of Americans will not only be awake, but will join physically in the effort to restore this republic, because we have no choice. We've got to restore the family. We have to ignore the fake preachers, which are all basically on the vanguard of the destruction of this country, because if the church and the family are corrupt, that is a death knell to your nation. What say you?
I agree with that. I think that enough people are recognizing, when you see the footage of the Disney executives, basically giving the backhand to the parents and say, we're going to sexualize these children and you have no right to say anything about it, or teachers getting caught on tape saying, you know what, we're going to indoctrinate your children, and it's time the parents realize that children belong to the government and not to the parent. People are hearing that. They're hearing these curriculums, clear your children, and they want to give transition drugs to 8 and 9-year-olds. People are realizing they don't care. The powers that they have licensed to care for our schools and children and institutions, they're realizing these people have always been in it for themselves, whether it's big pharma, whether it's the education system, whether it's entertainment. They have never cared about the people. They've only cared about the bottom line and corrupting and controlling. And I think more people are realizing that.
You know something? I don't even think they care about the bottom line, because their policies and principles eventually corrupt their companies, bankrupt their companies, and reduce the value of the dollar. It's amazing how filled with greed they are, but they've gotten so stupid they don't even know how to be greedy. Because while they're greedy, at the same time, they're supporting policies that will destroy the ability to create wealth for their greed. I mean, it's just getting totally stupid all the way around. The United States just added 2 oil rigs, 2, and Canada's rig count continues to plunge. And Biden just turned down and said no again to any new major rig openings or drilling on federal lands throughout the country. And they said, nope. But yeah, he opens what equates to a drop in the bucket of 1 million gallons a day from the emergency supply. Now, that emergency supply should be kept for war times, situations like that. And it was built up under Trump because of the excessive amount that we had, which was good. And he's draining that emergency supply purposefully. They're using this crisis to create another crisis. And they're saying no. Then he's turning around today and says, well, all the major oil companies, we're going to start fining them for not utilizing certain oil not pipelines, but for not utilizing certain places that they've already drilled, but yet at the same time, they make it too expensive for them to drill. So they don't tell the public the other side that they're making it too, cost prohibitive for them to drill and to continue to find new sources even where they are already drilling. And this is one more thing, Denise, and I want you to get your comment on this. Most people don't know that under the Trump administration, we had all that oil. Did you know the majority of new oil supplies came from small and medium-sized companies? Wasn't the big rigs, the big companies, although they increased, but the vast majority of it came through fracking and drilling from small companies all over the country, adding to the supply chain. And so the government shut down what was a bolstering of the middle class. And most people don't know that. And that's another thing that this government continues to do to try to kill the middle class. What say you?
Well, as I've shared on the prayer call, what comes to mind is what happened during the time of King Rehoboam, who was the son of Solomon. And under poor counsel, he raised the taxes on the children of Israel. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with that story, it created the division of the northern tribes and the separation of the tribes of Israel because of the taxation, which, the inflation, which is basically taxation without representation. And similarly, you had Rome destroyed, not just because of its immorality, but also because of inflation. And in both cases, it's always the middle class that takes care of your infrastructure, your military, your schools, your streets, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you drive out the middle class, you automatically bring down the capacity to sustain it because the poor don't pay enough taxes to keep your rail systems and your transportation systems in operation. And so I see them collapsing on themselves unless we take a very quick U-turn. And I'm praying for that. We're declaring for that. And I think there are a lot of good people who are running for office because they do see the direction. They see that big iceberg. And they know they didn't put enough lifeboats on the ship.
I hear you.
You're gonna have to do something.
I hear you, and you're right. I mean, we really have to. But like I said, the bottom line is that we've got to really push back like crazy. Well, when we return, folks, we're going to talk more about from a biblical perspective and how that should be more inculcated into dealing with the issues of the day and the future. I'm Ron Edwards, and you're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth on the Ron Edwards American Experience. Constitutional grounds. the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste that everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup. Despite the fact that God created man from the dust of the earth and formed woman from the rib of Adam, confusion seems to be the order of the day. But why? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, brought to you by Constitutional Grounds Coffee. Before the leftist overtaking of American society, the Bible was the standard by which our republic was first founded, and more often than not, was the guiding factor in family life, education, business practices, and before the Woodrow Wilson administration, many government actions. But our republic has fallen from her lofty perch of greatness. The Joe Biden regime is a symptom of a programmed walking away from good moral principles. As a result, the nation that sought to be the land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness has digressed into a Margaret Sanger-inspired, baby-murdering, alpha male-hating shell of her former glory. The fault of that demonic dilemma lies squarely at the feet of the legions of false preachers, wicked teachers, and parents unwilling, for whatever reason, to instill true morality, principles, and intellectual development, which has opened the door to the calamity of misinformation centered around the destruction of God's creation of man and woman, while also trying to sexualize first graders. Hopefully this immoral filth will be disposed of very soon. If not, the USA will truly be one nation gone under. I'm Ron Edwards. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and
Academy Sports and Outdoors 4-day fast break sale is on right now. Get up to $150 off pools. Take 50% off select bikes for the family. And get up to 50% off Puma, ASICS, and Adidas footwear. Visit your store or academy.com. Ends April 3rd. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See academy.com/disclaimers for details.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us, no matter how big or small your business is. Earn back when you spend, get exclusive offers, and paint rewards. It all adds up to help level up your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards and Partnership Program today. Minimum purchase required. Earnings and paint rewards awarded as Lowe's e-gift cards. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Valid through 12/31/22. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. U.S. only.
addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-213-9264. Call right now before it's too late. 800-213-9264.
The Ron Edwards American Experience, the talk show that celebrates America and reminds everyone she's worth fighting for. Join me, host Ron Edwards, and also don't miss a daily page from the Edwards Notebook Commentary right here on
K-Star Talk Radio Network.
Liberty Works Radio Network.
Last frequency.
LibertyTalk.fm.
The new voice of America.
Hey, we're back. You're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. I'm Ron Edwards, and our special guest this day is Denise Edwards, and she is the head of the Come Ministry organization, as well as the Zechariah 2.5 family, a wonderful group of folks from throughout the United States, even around the world, who pray for this nation and other nations on a daily basis. And boy, it's a great thing to witness. Hello, Denise. And you know something, I think as more and more people not only get involved politically, but if they get involved prayerfully, that also will help turn this country around bigly, as Trump would say. What say you?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I think if you can give me just a couple of extra seconds, I would love to share a biblical example of how you can just handle just one small crisis that we're having in America. May I have your permission?
Okay, you want a couple of extra seconds? A couple? Oh, okay.
Okay, for example, the immigration issue. Here's a biblical example, and I'm going to give you the very short version of how to deal with immigration. In the book of Ruth, this is a very familiar story where Naomi pledges to Ruth in Ruth chapter 1. She says in verse 16, "For where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." And that's Ruth verses 16 and 17 in chapter 1. Now, out of that tiny verse of scripture, here are 4 classifications that you can pull out. First of all, this is how immigration was dealt with. You have the native-born citizen, the Hebrew. Then you have the stranger. Remember, she said she would go with her, or an alien who chooses to dwell in the land. That's what she said. She said, where you go, I'll go. So that's an alien who chooses to live in the land or reside. Then the third one, the stranger at the gate, is a resident alien who chooses to dwell in the land of Israel, but they choose to live by the 7 laws of the land. They'll either convert to Judaism or they will abide by. And that fourth one is called the righteous stranger, a Gentile who has decided to make Israel home and has fully converted to Judaism, including circumcision. So think about that. In just that little tiny context of Scripture, there's 4 ways of living in America as an immigrant. But you notice the rules are you have to comply. You have to comply to the way things are governed. You can't come over here, bring your idols, and live any kind of way you want. You have to follow the Constitution. You have to follow the laws of the land. And if you choose to do that, then you are welcome. Just imagine if we just restored that tiny bit of Scripture to our immigration policies. Just said, you know what, throw everything off the table and let's go back to that.
Yeah, that would be a way to clean house, too, because a lot of people wouldn't want to live this way because they'd rather live like uncivilized beasts like they do in other countries. And that's, unfortunately, that's why Biden is bringing them in to bring all that stuff here to bring about chaos so that they can bring about collapse and dominance over us. And you're so correct in that. Before we get any further, why don't you tell folks about your organization, what you guys do, and, of course, an upcoming event?
Oh, I would be happy to. Thank you so much for allowing that. Yes, we are going to be hosting an event in a month. Actually, it's going to be April 30th and May 1st. And you'll be able to find all the information on the events page at comeministry.org. But we're hosting an Intercessors Encounter. Our beloved friend and mom that Ron and I love very much, Anna Lori Roscoe. She is a prophetess from the country of Israel. And she will be coming into the States in 29 days now, I guess is where it is April 1st. She'll be here to host an event. And we are so excited to have her. You can find information on where to stay. If you're here in Michigan, the event will be hosted at Mary Grove College. And again, all the information, it'll be Saturday and Sunday, the 30th of April and the 1st of May. Doors open at 9:30. And we're as of now, we're trying to do it where you just do a free will offering and we don't have to charge. If we do have to charge, it'll just be for the catering services.
Excellent. I look forward to that myself. Can't wait to see her, man. She's a great lady, and she every time she comes to this country, she brings a real accurate message from God, and man, we better listen up. But Denise, getting back to the issues of the day, it seems that the Bible talks about when the wicked reign, the people mourn. Now, here's an example. Chucky Schumer. I'm looking at a picture. He's standing here with a tranny, tranny and homosexual flag, and he says trans rights are human rights. Now, these are the same people, when they're promoting trans and other, kinds of those whatever, they use those to push us out of the way. They don't say include us in society. They're trying to replace us in society. And I personally think that they're trying to do that because God created man and woman only. That was it. Real simple. 1, 2. And quite enough, right? And yet they're trying to come with 57 varieties. And if you notice, they always say LGBTQ, ... and then there's the plus. And the plus, of course, is for the day they're hoping to put the P on there for pedophilia. Well, if I ever had my way, that P will never get there. It will never become a legal part of our society. And they probably want to put another B there for bestiality, and we're going to continue to fight against that as well. But they continue to promote even just human interactions that bring about destruction of a nation. What say you?
I absolutely agree with that. And I was talking to a really wise man the other day in the kitchen, and he asked me a question, and he said, why is it okay to say you're queer, but it's not okay to say you're a man? And I thought,
who was that guy?
Guy's a genius. I have no idea who that dude was. But I'm telling you, he's a smart guy. We ought to listen to him.
No, wait a minute. He was in your kitchen?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Now, we got to discuss this now.
The coffee he wants in his cup.
Okay. Oh, that guy. Okay, then it's all right. But, it just, every policy, whether it's taxes, whether it's the children, and see, here's the thing, the one thing that makes me very concerned that I think could bring about the quick destruction of this country, despite my optimism. You keep messing with the children in this way. Disney, all these organizations, I knew Disney was no good when I was in high school. I would not go when we went to Florida, a bunch of us, some friends, I wouldn't go in. They said I was crazy. I was a cuckoo bird. I said, okay, tomorrow we'll all go to Universal Studios or whatever. I wouldn't go. And it probably was not nearly as bad then as it is now. I mean, these people, they said they want to promote 50% of their material going forward with trans, homosexual, and all those things, and minorities thrown in. And see, they pimp the minorities to get their way. See, that's where my dad used to talk about bastardized rights. He said that they would use these bastardized or government-given civil rights, and they would dovetail on that because they weren't unalienable rights which were locked in to man and woman. And here we are. Your response.
Again, another wise man who produced a wise man. And I'm telling you, we have to push back. One thing I know for certain, he who controls the narrative controls the outcome. And they don't care if there's any science to back up their claims. They don't care if there's any truth to back up their claims. The whole objective is to get you to just come into compliance and agreement with the lie. And then in their mind, the lie will be the truth because they will have been able to convert enough deceived people into coming into an agreement with him. And that in lies a danger, not only to the dangers of society, but that lies in danger of the soul, because now you've stepped into reprobate, and there's not a coming back from that one.
And explain, because not everybody knows what reprobate means or what that is. Explain what that is.
Reprobate is a term that's used in Scripture to basically explain that when a person chooses to believe a lie over the truth, and you reject the truth of God over and over again. I'm not talking about just once or twice, but when you absolutely firmly, for example, say there's more in male and female, when you absolutely decide, no, there is a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh gender, and you refuse to believe that all the biology, all the science, the chromosomes, everything that can validate that there is only two genders, eventually you are given over to believe a lie as truth. It's a deep affection for unprincipled things. It's a deep alignment with something that is disapproved by God. And when you continually resist the truth and exchange the truth for a lie, eventually God just gives you over to it, and you actually do believe what you're saying, and you can't be unconvinced of it at that point. And people perish eternally for that.
Yeah, and nations perish for lack of knowledge and moral stability. You know, the left has never needed an excuse to vilify Clarence Thomas. The longtime Supreme Court justice has been a thorn in the side of Democrats' lawless agenda for many, many years. It's no surprise to me that the thousands of pages of text submitted to the House's January 6th committee, his wife's message to the White House just happened to be leaked to the press. Now, in their latest attempt to dispatch their judicial foe, the president's party is arguing, well, I can't call him the president, Biden's party is arguing that being married to someone with political views should be grounds for impeachment. These people have lost their freaking minds. But the problem is there's so many ignorant individuals in this country. They have a chance. I don't think it'll succeed, but they have an actual chance to get Clarence Thomas removed. Again, I think it will fail ultimately, but it shouldn't even be it shouldn't even be a discussion. What say you?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And remember, every single person in D.C. has a political opinion, and they're all married to somebody, and in many ways intermarried for political purposes and gain. And so they build their entire house of cards on those political opinions. That's how they hold themselves together through that lockstep of lies. So again, we just declare that will fail, that Clarence Thomas will fulfill his entire term as the Supreme Court justice with the most common sense, I might add, on the bench. And so we just, will continue to pray and push back against the darkness and all the evil plots, including this last one where they tried to assassinate him by taking him out through a poison that was tasteless and odorless. And they passed it off initially as being like a food or a gastric issue, but later was discovered that there had actually been an attempt on his life.
Yeah, hopefully they'll go after that wherever it happened, whether it was at the restaurant or hospital, probably the restaurant where he was eating, because that's where he first got sick. So, terrible stuff, but there has to be justice. We found out what happened. Now there needs to be justice, and there needs to be justice against all these crooks in and out of government. Denise, I want to thank you so much for joining us again on the Ron Edwards American Experience. As always, it's an honor to have you, and we love your words of wisdom and great contribution to the broadcast. And thanks again.
Thank you so much. And again, any information for attending the Intercessors Encounter you can find on comeministry.org. God bless you.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. You're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. I shall return.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth on the Ron Edwards American Experience. Constitutional Grounds, the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste that everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Call 800-631-9123. 800-631-9123. That's 800-631-9123.
This is Kyle Warren, the Professor of Politics, and you're listening to The Ron Edwards on the Ron Edwards American Experience.
And we're back, and you're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. I'm Ron Edwards, thanking you so much for joining me this day. You know, New York Yankees catcher Yogi Berra was known for his yogiism, such as, remember when he'd say, "It's deja vu all over again"? A redundancy, of course. And that's what's happening in the Ukraine. But most Americans have been so dumbed down that they are oblivious to that fact. In 1997, power elite agents and advisors to Presidents Carter, Clinton, and Ali Obama, Zbigniew Brzezinski, authored the Grand Chessboard, in which he laid out the plan for the future. In his book, ZB referred to ruling national elites and said Eurasia is the chessboard on which the struggle for global primacy continues to be played. And that struggle involves geostrategy, the geostrategic management of the geopolitical interests and geostrategically dynamic states of nations, how the United States both manipulates and accommodates the principal geostrategic players on the Eurasian chessboard, and how it manages Eurasia's geopolitical pivots will be critical to the longevity and stability of America's global primacy. However, there are threats used to coerce that are coercive, and compliance, which is enforced, which nobody remembers. And ZB remarked in the past about the Grand Chessboard that it follows that America's primary interest is to help ensure that no single power comes to control this geopolitical space. This is most revealing because no single power would include the United States. Although this may surprise many, one should keep in mind that in ZB's 1970 book, Between Two Ages, he praised Marxism, saying, "Marxism represents a further vital and creative stage in the maturing of man's universal vision, of course, without God. Marxism is simultaneously a victory of the external active man over the inner passive man, and a victory of reason over belief. Again, turning a man's back against God. Because of what ZB said in his book, Power Elite member David Rockefeller made ZB director of Rockefeller's newly formed Trilateral Commission in 1973 and national security advisor to Rockefeller's puppet Jimmy Carter from 1977 to 1980. In the 1980s, we had already seen articles about which nobody remembers because people have been conditioned to be, or not being focused, explaining how Khrushchev, remember that guy, had actually suckered President Kennedy in the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, but nobody knows about that. Khrushchev's supposed goal was to gain the removal of nuclear weapons from NATO member Turkey in exchange for his removal of Soviet missiles in Cuba. And today, Vladimir Putin has been responding and reacting to being poked for many years as Ukraine was drawing closer to the European Union against an agreement made with the European Union nations and possible membership into NATO, allowing nuclear missiles to hypothetically be based on the border with Russia, something that Putin had argued against, and they agreed to, by the way, years ago. Are you beginning to get the picture, my friends? Uncle Joe Biden, Mr. Mumble Bumble, is being set up. Yep. Threats used for coercive compliance. Another pipeline from Baku, Azerbaijan, through Georgia and then Turkey to the Mediterranean Sea also resulted in another spontaneous revolution for independence by South Ossetia within Russia. This time, the spontaneous revolutionaries were allied with Russia. This gave the United States funded and trained Georgians the threat they needed to react militarily, killing about 2,000 South Ossetian civilians and sending over 40,000 refugees into Russia. This in turn gave the Russians the threat they needed to crush the Georgians militarily. And in June of 2008, long before military action, Power Elite agent ZB warned of cases of possible threats to Russia, directed at Georgia with the intention of taking control over Baku-Xi'an pipelines. And it goes on and on and on. So, anyway, Putin could count on NATO's non-response because he could easily once again cut off Germany's, Poland's, and etc.'s natural gas pipeline from Russia. But as the years ensued, quietly, with the support of crooked American regimes, NATO has been poking the bear. And of course, the media has not been talking very much about that. And so, as our previous guest just a few minutes ago said, if those who control the narrative can control the direction of the way things go, and that's why the majority of the world's opinion has been pouring in against Putin, because they don't know everything that has been going on. And by the way, Putin is not really trying to take over Ukraine. He's just trying to wreck it. Wreck it. Because of the bioweapons labs, the child trafficking or human trafficking, the money laundering. Let's not forget, it's going to be coming out in the not-too-distant future about the crooked Hunter Biden and the millions he made for his big dad, as they called the big fella. And the beat goes on, my friends. The truth shall come forth. And more truth will be coming forth on the next edition of the Ron Edwards American Experience. And now that I see that my time is up, I just want to thank you so much for your time.
Tags that stage right.
Yup. Remember, my friends, no matter how bad you think it is, remember to pray for your nation, pray for your neighbors, Pray for those liberal relatives of yours, that they'll straighten up and fly right too. Let's get it together. Let's fight for liberty, my friends, together. And we'll continue on the next edition of the Ron Edwards American Experience. Until next time, bye now.